All right, we're back with part two of the Blue Hotel. So while they're upstairs, Scully and trying to calm the Swede and get him to stay at the hotel, Scully's playing the part, right? Playing the part of the innkeeper, and he's playing it well, right? We all have a part to play, right? After the departure of Scully, the three men and the cardboard still upon their knees preserved for a long time an astounded silence. I mean, they can't believe that the Swede has just stormed out and claimed that they're going to kill him. "That's the dod-dangest Swede I ever see," said Johnny. "He ain't no Swede," said the cowboy. "Well, what is he then? What is he then? In my opinion," replied the cowboy deliberately, "he's some kind of Dutchman." So there's all sorts of stereotypes about Dutchmen, of course, in America. Crane would know those, having spent time in the Hudson Valley. Then the Easterner chimes in. After being asked, okay, the Easterner is very reserved. "Well, he says he's a Swede anyhow," muttered Johnny. He turned to the Easterner. "What do you think, Mr. Blank?" Isn't that great? His name is Blank. Very symbolic, of course. "Oh, I don't know," replied the Easterner. So he's trying to stay out of it. "Well, what do you think makes him act that way?" asked the cowboy. And the Easterner lays it out for us and them. "Why, he's frightened." The Easterner knocked his pipe against his rim of the stove. "He's clear frightened out of his boots." "What at?" cried Johnny and the cowboy together. The Easterner reflected over his answer. "What at?" cried the others again. "Oh, I don't know, but it seems to me this man has been reading dime novels and he thinks he's right out in the middle of it. The shooting and stabbing and all." "But," said the cowboy, "this ain't Wyoming. Nor none of them places. This is Nebraska." "Yes," added Johnny, "and why don't he wait till he gets out west?" The traveled Easterner, so the traveled Easterner, he's seen it for himself. He's not believing in the dime store novels, the stereotypes of people and places. "It isn't even there even, not in these days, but he thinks he's right in the middle of hell." Johnny and the cowboy mused along. "It's awful funny," remarked Johnny. "Yeah," said the cowboy. "This is a queer game. I hope we don't get snowed in because there's a storm going on outside." So the Easterner really lays it out for us. Lays out right there what the story is about. And you know, we do have perceptions and stereotypical perceptions of places. When I was a kid, New York City was not as safe a place as it is now, but it wasn't crazy. But somehow I got it in my head. And the first time I went to New York City, I was in like 10th grade. I didn't take my hand off my wallet. I was convinced I was going to get mugged and stabbed. And it was absurd, right? It was absurd. We stayed in safe parts of the city. But this perception that, oh, the city, oh, it's bad down there. No, it wasn't. And it isn't today. Certain parts you might want to stay out of. All right, so the Swede returns all couraged up on whiskey. That never helps any situation. "Why, he's all right now," declared Scully. "It was only that he was from the East and he thought this was a tough place. That's all. He's all right now." The cowboy looked with admiration upon the Easterner. "You were straight. You were on to that there Dutchman." "Well," said Johnny to his father, "he may be all right now, but I don't see it. Other time he was scared, but he's too fresh." Scully's speech was always a combination of Irish brogue and idiom, stereotype, Western twang and idiom, and scraps of curiously formal diction taken from the story books and newspapers. He now hurled a string of massive language at the head of his son. "What do I keep? What do I keep? What do I keep?" he demanded. "I keep a hotel. A hotel. Do you mind? A guest under my roof has sacred privileges," etc., etc. So Scully's priority is the business, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's called customer service. You got to do what you got to do. At 6 o'clock supper, the Swede fizzled like a fire wheel. The Swede fizzled like a fire wheel. The Easterner was encased in reserve. The cowboy sat wide-mouthed amazement, forgetting to eat, while Johnny wrathfully demolished great plates of food. The Swede domineered the whole feast. So now the Swede is all worked up, and he's been catered to and pandered to by Scully. He's got whiskey in him, and he's the big shot in the room now. And they're gonna play cards some more, right? They formed a square with the little board on their knees, like the game of life. Not the board game of life, but they're all connected by this game, right? And they're playing. The Swede had picked up board whacking. I don't really know what game they're playing, but and Swede finally accuses Johnny. You're cheating. Such scenes often prove that there can be little of dramatic import in environment. Any room can present a tragic front. Any room can be comic. The Swede held a huge fist in front of Johnny's face. And guess what? They go out to fight. And at this point, they go out in the storm, the snow, the wind, just the madness of nature, right? That Stephen Crane writes about a lot. There's a lot going on here. We don't really have it's hard to get into in a YouTube video, but it's a very sophisticated story. So, stop now, I say, Scully. So, Scully's finally had it, and he's just going to let him fight, right? No more innkeeper. Come on. And he's cheering on Johnny, his son, in the fight. And he actually referees it, and he keeps the cowboy from jumping in, man on man, here. And the Swede pummels Johnny pretty good, right? Pummels him good. Pummels him real good. And of course, the Swede thinks they're all going to gang up on him. But no, it's going to be a fair fight. It's going to be a fair fight. During this pause, the Easterner's mind, like a film, took lasting impressions of three men. The iron-nerved master of the ceremony, Scully, the Swede, pale, motionless, terrible, and Johnny, serene yet ferocious, brutish yet heroic. He's almost like some sort of primitive person. Now, said Scully, get it, Johnny, go, kill him, kill him. Cowboys yelling, kill him, kill him, kill him. This is during the fight. Cowboys yelling, kill him, which is what the Swede has been expecting the whole time, right? And he fights him off. Johnny cries after losing. Scully straightened and addressed the waiting figure. Stranger, he said, it's all up on our side. So, that's it, Swede. You beat our boy up. That is the end of that. The cowboy wants to fight him, right? And Scully says, no, it wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be right. And they move on. Okay. And then we really see the real Scully. You know, he loses his temper and he says he'd like to fight the Swede, and so on and so forth. So the Swede, now he's still a little liquored up. He's all bravado, right? And he's out there in the tough West and he's winning and he's got to go. What do you do after you win a fight? Well, you know, we've all been in a fist fight enough in our time in our lives, right? After a good fist fight, you go into town and you go to the saloon and you buy people a drink to celebrate. And that's just what he does. So he leaves the Blue Hotel and he goes into town and he goes into the saloon. Section 8. He might have been in a deserted village. We picture the world as thick with conquering and elate humanity. But here, with the bugles of the tempest pealing, it was hard to imagine a peopled earth. One viewed the existence of man then as a marvel, and conceded a glamour of wonder to these lice which were caused to cling to the whirling, fire-smitten, ice-locked, disease-stricken, space-lost bulb. The conceit of man was explained by this storm to be the very engine of life. One was a coxcomb not to die in it. However, the Swede found a saloon. So Crane gets very philosophical there, viewing the existence of man as a marvel. However, we're just lice, you know, playing roles. It's very, very interesting. Worth reading again, I think, for all of you. So the Swede comes in. The gambler is there playing cards with some people. It's not really a game. The gambler's necessarily trying to win money from people. He's just keeping his skills up with the town folk. And we will pick up there in part 3 of Stephen Crane's The Blue Hotel.